Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Billy Watson TV. We have the returning guest par excellence, Tony Sayer. He's joining us again from Mexico. How you doing, Tony? You're looking like it's still hot out there and you're enjoying the weather.
Actually, it's not. It's been it's raining. It's hurricane season at the moment.
Right, okay. That's a
Yeah.
drawback, isn't it?
Yeah. So not been out too much, but I'm doing well. Just observing the bullshit that's being rolled out across the world. Every day is like something different, isn't it?
Oh, it's just fucking sickening.
It used to be like once, twice a year there'd be a psyop. Do you remember back in the good old days when we first started out? You know, you might get a mass shooting once a year, right? But now it's like Monday mass shooting, Tuesday war, Wednesday monkey flu, Thursday cost of living, Friday it's like
yeah, exactly. It's never ending. But just when you mentioned that shooting there, you know, that recent school shooting, I seen a post on Instagram. Somebody was saying that there was one policeman or something murdered in the school shooting, and apparently this guy in his spare time has designed an engine that runs on water, and apparently the last guy that built an engine that ran on water, he died as well. So that's a bit of an anomaly.
Well, I didn't know that. I don't know about you, but I just all this stuff that's going on. I literally after the COVID stuff. I feel like, you know, you got like a bar of energy, right? If you imagine that it's a computer game.
Mine is fucking way down there.
Mine's down there, right? And it's actually interesting, and maybe some of the viewers can relate to this, but I know you probably will relate to this because I met up with one of my good friends, Laura Bolton, and she's been same as us, like constantly putting out content, trying to get people to, you know, look into You Can't Catch a Virus, like constant, like master date, like all. And we met up the other day and we sat there and I just went, I'm fucking exhausted. Are you? She's like, yeah, I'm fucking exhausted. Oh, and I think a lot of people in this field are feeling it because you think about it, it's been non-stop, right? I remember when they first dropped COVID and I knew, right, they're running for the finishing line now. I was in this house in Wales, literally hour after hour, just on Twitter, just posting in, joining on threads, just like, and it's just been non-stop, right? Really, like the emotional energy to do this stuff, you know, put content out, you know, put videos together, then edit sometimes, and just like trying to get guests, and it's not easy, and we're not looking for medals, obviously, but it takes it out of you. And even if you're not sort of public out there, just having to deal with just constant barrage of bullshit, one day after the other, trying to survive, it really takes its toll. And I do believe that many of us are experiencing like burnout, actually. And burnout's weird because you just wake up and you just don't have any motivation. Like literally, you can't. Like if I there was a point recently where I think about putting a video out and I just couldn't. I literally couldn't get out of bed to put something together. And I know a lot of other people are feeling like that, and I think it's really important to kind of check ourselves on that.
Yeah, well, basically, one of the last chats we had, you told me I should watch my energy. You know, I was doing a full-time job and doing all these shooting the shits, and since then I lost my job and I'm majorly stressed. Actually, I've had to give up doing shooting the shits. Part of the reason was that because it was taking me a lot of time to prepare these things, and you have to get mentally ready and do the show. And I'm struggling where to get money to put food on the table, you know, or pay my rent. And it's just, I'm not in a good place to come on and entertain people for an hour when I can't, you know, as soon as I hang up, then I'm like, fuck, how am I going to pay, you know, how am I going to go to the supermarket, you know? Yeah. And I can't get another job. Of like, so many times people have almost ready to give me a job and then they want me to wear a mask and I say, I can't do that. And I try to explain it to them. And the fucking, you know, again, it's that, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you know, have you had your vaccines? And, oh, you have to wear a mask, and you try to explain there is no fucking whatever. Yeah. I'm just saying you're discriminating. You know, you're making people ill by doing this. They don't seem to care. You know.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's incredibly frustrating. I would like to thank Noel and Katrina. They are just commented there. They're both regular donators to my site, and they did join the membership, and it was up going there. So I appreciate people that do help, and just wish there was more. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's an important point to mention that, you know, if people can help, you know, it really goes a long way when we're in this field to do so, to help putting out this content. I mean, what is it? A cup of coffee a month? How much is a minimum? Like five quid
a month.
£5 a month. So, you know, anyone that's watching this on my channels or anything, you know, if you can, just head over to Billy Watson TV and just help out if you can. And you know, he puts a good amount in. He's always showing up with a smile on his face, trying to entertain. But yeah, I think it's important that we, you know, we have to look after ourselves and, you know, make sure that we're not sort of running on empty, so to speak, on that bar.
And the thing is, you can do a lot more if you get support. You know, you can make the show better, and you're in a much better place to do it, and everybody gets the benefit of it. It's not like I'm doing it for selfish purposes. You know, I'm trying to do it so that I can do it properly. You know, rather than going to get a job and then come back and try and do something when you're absolutely knackered. You can't research stuff properly and all that as well. You know, it takes a long time to find out what's going on and keep up to date with shit. You can.
Yeah. Do you know what annoys me as well, though? Like, you know, obviously a big part of my YouTube channel is to call out new agers. You know, some of these big time new agers that overnight they get like 200,000.
Well, exactly. I was interviewing a couple of them, and they were on 10 grand a month to do some of them.
Yeah, I mean, like you go on their website and they're, you know, I remember there was one guy back in the day. I looked to do some inner work, and I know there's an energy exchange. You know, I charge for my work, but there needs to be a balance with it. But this one guy, I really admired his stuff, and I wanted to do some inner work with him. 10 grand he wanted. 10 grand. I was like, dude, that's a deposit on a house. Like, not that I'm into all of that now, but it's like, but you see those people, and you know, it is frustrating because there's people out there that aren't putting out the quality of information. They don't have the charisma, the laughter that people like yourself can bring to the table, and you know, they're kind of running all the way to the bank. So it can be annoying and frustrating in this field.
A little bit, especially like those people who you're trying to bring attention to. Then today you've got the Joby Lee, you know, the Queen's on our balcony, and there's like thousands and thousands of people all fucking waving our flags to this one out there with billions in the bank, you can, and you're trying to, even Johnny Lydon, like, oh. Anyways, let's talk about the Joby Lee, and then we'll get into Johnny Lydon.
Talk about Johnny Lydon, because I haven't heard this.
Oh, just, you know, he's like the voice of anarchy, and he done an interview recently with Piers Morgan, and it got lots of YouTube hits. So now Piers has got him back on, and it's Johnny Rotten's World. They're going to do this regular thing. So Johnny's there, and he's bashing the Queen a wee bit. Says doesn't believe in monarchy, but he loves the pageantry, and he loves the flag waving. I was like, hold on, you're not getting the full picture here. And then he says, I'd rather vote Tory just because I hate Labour and their woke agenda. Well, the woke agenda's shite, but it doesn't mean to say Tory. It's the Hegelian dialectic, Johnny. Let's get above that, you know?
Yeah.
Piers has got him on as a safe kind of anarchist. And then Piers is there talking about Andrew and saying, oh, look, I'm mixing with Ghislaine and stuff like that, and Epstein. But fucking Piers is hung out with Epstein and all the rest of it, you know? So you just wonder at what level Johnny's in the game, or is he just trying to be pure, not in the game, but a little bit deluded, or is it just a stage show from the two of them? It's fucking really, really incredibly annoying. Piers Morgan's trying to be cool, loving Sex Pistols, never made the box. You're a fucking cunt, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I never trusted a lot of these. The jury's always been out on Piers Morgan for me. I mean, like, brother of the Labour leader. Come on, seriously. And you know, it was really weird. Do you remember?
I'm talking about Piers Morgan. Is that right? Are you thinking?
There's
Piers Corbyn. You're thinking of
Piers
Piers Corbyn.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan, aye.
Right.
I
Sorry.
said Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well, the
so
jury's
Piers
out.
Morgan's a cunt. Aye. The jury's not out on Piers. Piers is an official fucking prick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Piers Morgan.
Yeah. Yeah. He really is. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. Like that's what makes it all worse. You know, you see how they've made life so difficult for people with austerity and everything like that, and then you've got all these fucking NPCs, idiots, out waving their flags, throwing parties. Like, I mean, at what point? At what point people? Like, does a penny drop that here is a woman that is like basically she doesn't pay any taxes. She's sitting there in a golden throne with a golden crown on her head, dictating to the rest of us, you know, how we should live our lives. I mean, seriously, it just boggles the mind at this point in time that people still have this love for the monarchy, especially now with all the stuff that have come out down the years around, you know, Andrew and Savile being mates with Charles. I mean, it's pretty much well known. I mean, it's even on Netflix now. I mean, do you know what I mean?
Covered up to an extent, you know, it's like a little bit exposed but contained.
Yeah, I mean, it was controlled, wasn't it? It was kind of controlled. But I watched that actually, that Savile one on Netflix, and I was actually surprised that there was that much that they put out on that documentary. I mean, obviously there's much more, but they did mention, I think, about the necrophilia and stuff like that, the dead bodies. But this was a guy, as we all know, who's listening to this. This was a guy that was best mates with Prince Charles,
but Andy was given access. He was running a mental ward.
Yeah,
he's fucking. This is what was the name? There was that Edwina Curry, I think, was giving him the keys to run that fucking ward for 12 years, and that's how he's getting the deal. You know, it's ridiculous.
But I wonder what it is that people want to cling on to. I mean, is it partly patriotism? Is it partly just like an ancestral thing? Just this kind of slave master dynamic that is sort of ingrained in our subconscious that we can't move out of.
I don't think it's so big in Scotland, especially because it's based more in London now. You know, royal family's not so much here, you know. So, but I certainly think like Johnny Rotten and all that. There's a certain element of that English establishment, fucking the Queen, you can Silver Jubilee mugs and all that kind of thing, and the street parties. That thing's still there, you know. And it's probably more older folk. It is dying out. But
you talk to people and they go, yeah, but they bring in tourists. I'm like, yeah, but they're fucking kids, right? It's like, hello. I think it's just another case of people just don't want their delusions shattered, right? It's just they've been there all their lives, the royals, and yeah, it's just.
I don't know. I just think me and you are probably just so far out of the box we don't realise what it's like to still be in that box, you know? Because sometimes you just think. You take things for granted and you think, no, people still believe in like monkeypox. You're like, oh no, monkeypox are illusion. People just believe this narrative they're given all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really, it's just slave mentality, isn't it? It's just the peasants, and it's been going on for centuries that way. This humanity has this dynamic going on, which is basically why we're slaves, because we act like slaves. You know, we shouldn't be worshipping anyone. I mean, yeah, you can admire people, and I mean, I see it even in the truth community, the alternative media. You know, I go on certain popular people, and like people are hanging off every word that they're saying, and there's still that dynamic of you know, the ultimate authority, and there's still that lack of discernment and kind of like hero celebrity worship, even within in our field. So. Yeah,
the guy yesterday exposed Joe Rogan back in the day on who he was connected and who was funding him, and that guy, I think he died within a couple of months or something like that. You know, the truthers that are out there, you wonder, especially ones with the bigger audiences. You know, they're not going to the heart of the matter, which I believe people should be talking about the Jesuit order in you know, in a big way, much more so than anything else, I think, because that is really the power structure that's controlling everything, I think, coming from there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go even deeper than that if you go into the metaphysical and you know that dimension where I think all of this is coming from. And there's not many people speaking about that. I mean, that's still kind of taboo in many ways. People want to focus on the kind of 3D puppets that, you know, the Bill Gates and the, you know, Klaus Schwab and all of that. And yeah, that's important. But unless we go behind the curtain and really understand, actually, this is spiritual warfare. These people are not what we think they are. They're basically hosted humans that are being run by, very, very evil entities. And not only them, but these entities are affecting all of us. So it's really important that we go, to the root cause, to the depths of where this is really coming from. Start to understand it, understand how they work and how they operate, and then we can start to combat it. Because you know, until we get the full picture on things, you know, we're not going to have the full solution on it all. So, but yeah, it's crazy. It really is the worship of royalty.
I was just going to say that if you look at them on the balcony there, you know, they're not exactly love pouring out of these people. You know, I was looking at the Queen and Prince
their
Charles.
energy is terrible. I mean, you can tune into someone's energy quite easily, and you just like someone like the Queen. It's just darkness. I mean, just absolute nothing there. There was a funny article I saw the other day. I think it was in the Metro. The Metro is always good for propaganda and a laugh. I don't know why. It always comes up on my Facebook newsfeed, which I'm banned again from, and they've given me a 90-day at the bottom of the feed.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much like gone from there. But there was an article saying that, you know, the Queen's a really good laugh, and there was a picture of her with this kind of like forced smile, like trying to like make them like us, I guess. But
That was in that Johnny Rotten interview with Piers Morgan. I watched it just before coming on, and basically they talked about the Queen, and Johnny Rotten saying, "Oh yeah, I like the Queen as a human being for her what she's done," you know, because people try to say that, and I'm like, no. But then Piers Morgan says the Queen's literally the greatest living Briton of all time. Basically, that's what he said. I was like,
we know what he is. It starts with a C and ends in a T, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just there. Have you seen that photo of her where she's someone zoomed in on her eye, and her eye is totally black, right? And I've spoken about this before on in my work, where, you know, a lot of these serial killers and murderers, and for any survivors of these, they've always said, I looked into the eyes were black, or the person was like, don't look into my eyes. It's really true. Like, eyes are the window to the soul, and she's basically soulless, I would imagine. So
this is what really pisses you off, though, when you realise the pure evil that's running the show. And like Boris Johnson, I watched an interview. Oh no, he was giving a talk. 2016. Excuse me, I'm recovering from the cold or whatever. And I was just going on about how he loves immigration, and he's for basically wants to, after an immigrant's been here for 12 years, to get, you know, UK citizenship and all the rest of it, and pays taxes and contribute to the country. But basically, these cunts are just letting these immigrants come in willy-nilly, and it's just part of their plan, and they're pretending they're just so humane. When they're here for 12 years and have contributed, they should be, you know, blah, blah, blah. You're an evil cunt. You're just lying out your fucking face. You know, just want to strangle the bastard.
Yeah, but they do that as well to get people riled up, don't they? You know, like they get all the patriots. Like, oh, it's my country, you know, it's my fucking country. You're letting all these people in, like. No, you just happen to be born on a piece of land that your mum and dad fucked on, you know? I
get that as well, but again, I'm not a fan of the whole system, so we should all... I don't think there'd be any immigration if people were happy in their own culture, you know, and everything was cushy there.
Yeah.
If you meet a person from another culture, you go on holiday, you fall in love, and that's natural kind of movement. But as a mass immigration, controlled and, you know, done by making a country impoverished and creating asylum seekers and sending them here and all that. That's all done on purpose to weaken the people's natural community strength it would have. Because when you do mix up the cultures, you don't know each other's cultures, and there is a difference. Just in the cultural background, we're not saying we're different people. We are kind of all the one human race, but different tribes, obviously. But at the same time, the mass immigration makes you then Britain's getting taken over by Muslims basically in 2050s. Christians will be a minority, so that's all done intentionally as well. Because again, Christian white solid believers all together can stand up in the name of the Bible. That was a force as well. Even if it might not be true, it gives people that power. Do you know what I mean?
Who was that guy that was going around Britain, just like generating so much hate, just going
Tommy
around?
Robinson.
Tommy Robinson, yeah. Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. I think he pops in and out of jail now and again, but he's still.
Is he in jail? Is he?
Sorry?
Is he in jail?
He does his rallies, and occasionally the police pop in, and I'm not sure if he goes away for a couple of days and comes back out. But yeah, he was getting a lot of support because people are getting affected by these issues, so this should be getting talked about, but not necessarily because again they can put in coadjuvant, people that stir it up and therefore take it too much extreme and make them all look loony or whatever, So they're always controlling the opposition.
Yeah.
So you didn't kind of want to believe, but essentially these issues should be talked about, immigration and how it's affecting the culture and, who's contributing to it. If we are going to be in this system, if we are contributing, I mean, where's our tax money getting spent? It's all, we shouldn't be paying any tax, obviously. That was brought in temporarily and then it just happened to stick.
Well, that was brought in as a wartime thing. and it's just stuck. And
so we don't actually legally, lawfully have to pay that, There's so many things. But again, the tax money, that all the shit that gets spent on, even the COVID, a lot of the money would go into buying safety equipment or whatever. It's just, and there's all these Masons and all these groups, all fucking common purpose and all that. All these think tanks that are all dictating where everything's going and manipulating people in their work, not just through the television. People are getting fucking trained to be fucking idiots and love technology. And there's all these jobs popping up for technology. It's the way forward. It's the way forward. And, the metaverse and it's like, whoa, somebody put the brakes on this shit and let's have a chat. Let's take a day out for a chat. Come on.
No, there is no chat. They just keep going with it, don't they? But they've just got like this giant chessboard, don't they? They've got all their psyops. They're playing one card and the next and then the next. And we just go along with most of it, but
because it's overwhelming, you get so much information. The brain, again, they use the logical fallacies and all this shit in their language that you can't make sense of. So the brain just gets numbed, and then they just passively accept what they're getting told. But it doesn't make any sense. You're either with us or with the terrorists. Fuck off, again. But it's just it's all tricks of the language they use to get people to not have the ability to critically think themselves to see that this is utter bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I think people have been mentally and emotionally damaged psychologically over the past 2 years.
Without a doubt.
And with the constant fear, I remember reading an article that if you bombard people with constant fear for 2 months in a row, they lose the ability to think. And I mean, people weren't thinking anyway, and then you add all the fear onto it, then you've got a completely docile, ignorant population. It's draining trying to reach these people. But on the flip side, and I have noticed, and I've spoken to a lot of my clients as well that I work with, I always ask, like, how long have you been aware for? When did you, what woke you up? And you wouldn't believe the amount of people I've spoke to that COVID woke them up. And I'm honestly saying that. And looking in a lot of the comment sections of these newspapers, I looked at another article the other day about the monkey flu in the UK, and the comments, people are like, no, fuck off, no, not taking the vaccine, no, like literally everyone. And I remember 2 years before, like when there was a COVID article, everyone was like, yeah, take your vaccine. So it's completely like, I think because we're in it all the time and we're drained by it, we sometimes find it hard to kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture. But I do think that, yeah, there's still a lot of ignorant idiots and patriots and stuff like that, and royalists. But I do think that there is a lot of people now that are just not, they're not going to go for it, for whatever they're pushing next. So.
Well, they seem to be the economy's collapsing, and there's food shortages looming in the horizon. It keeps getting dropped in, and there's not a lot of joy out there, and things that used to bring us pleasure, maybe we've seen through. It's not actually quite the same because there's something no right here. You can.
Yeah, and people are even people close to me, they're tired of the fear, the constant fear. Like people that I've spoke to that aren't really awake, they're just like, do you know what? I'm tired of putting on the news and being told that something bad's going to happen every day, and reading the paper, and it's just fear, fear, fear. And I think, yeah, they've scared a lot of people into taking the what, and they've done a job there. But at the same time, they've had to go very quickly, which has also triggered more people to question just everything. I mean, like 2 years ago, can you believe 2 years ago people actually stayed in their homes? Like, I'll never forget the day, Billy, when I came back from Mexico, and I got a taxi to Cardiff from London because there was no one could pick me up. Right, it cost me an absolute fortune, and I was on the M20 fucking 5, one of the busiest roads, not just in Europe but in the world. And there was no one on them. Like the odd truck. I was like,
it's like Armageddon.
Like literally everyone is at home. And then you had people like banging pots on a Thursday. Like, can you? It's like sometimes it's like the PTSD it's now calmed down all of that, and I'm like, oh my god, that really fucking happened. Like, I can't believe some of the shit that we did.
People just carrying on as if it was just a normal part of life. You can, and like you're in the supermarket now and they're not wearing masks, and I'm like, remember you guys were wearing masks? You can. What the fuck was that all about?
Oh my god, yeah,
it's like it's never happened. A lot of people just say I was COVID, but what they've done very cleverly, the bastards. Again, you're trying to apply for jobs, and it's like, have you been vaccinated? You're still getting asked that. Are you wearing a mask? Going to shops, they've still got fucking social distancing, and Tesco, they're still telling you in a tannoy, although it's calmed down a bit, you still have to sanitize and wear a mask and social distance.
Do you still have to wear a mask in Tesco's?
Well, they've got the signs up. Is the point?
Oh, right, but no one does, right?
A few people still do, aye. It's actually
it's like it is here. People love their masks here.
Well,
actually, it's actually calming down with the masks now. There are because the government came out about a month ago and said you don't need them so much. Now, of course, everyone follows the orders, but still, there's a lot of people, sipping on their Coke. They love their Coca-Cola here in Mexico. Coca-Cola. Just going off on a side note here, Mexico has the highest consumption of Coca-Cola in the world.
My God.
Like even in the little pueblos, you'll find like shops with the Coca-Cola sign. This documentary, I even had that. There was even this shaman, this Aztec shaman. She had all the gear on, and part of her like potion was Coca-Cola. Like,
oh God.
Yeah. So
back in the old days when it was invented, it was a medicine.
Was it supposed to be a medicine?
I think it had coca leaves in it or stuff like that, or whatever.
Right.
It was used by maybe these snake oil salesmen going around or whatever. I'm not sure there's a story like that, but they certainly changed it by putting a lot more sugar in it. I think it had coca leaves, so it give you a high, basically. You know what I mean?
But do you know that's what they're really masters at, isn't it? It's infiltrating. Like they're masters at that. They infiltrate things so very subtly. I've noticed that.
No doubt about it. That's the Jesuit order, Ignatius Loyola. The whole manifesto of that was set up to infiltrate and to work undercover. Yeah. And basically that's the modus operandi.
Yeah. It's very good how they do it. It goes a lot of the time. It goes completely under the radar. I don't know whether they do it with just like networking the right people, or Well, they do. They have all the right people in the right places, don't they? So
Yeah, all through their universities, you've got Jesuit universities, all these folk Jesuit trained and all get positions in government and all like that. And that's why there's a lot of work on the internet these days, even with Freemasons, to try and make these groups look, laudable and Jesuit trained, and like Terry Wogan was Jesuit trained, and all these people we don't know about. And yeah, that's what they do. They infiltrate it. There's a great movie. It was made by a French Freemason. What was the name of it? Oh God! Basically, he got murdered after he made the movie. The occult forces, and that does a great job of just explaining how it works. And you get a promising young politician. This is what the movie's about, and he wants power and influence, and he goes against the system a wee bit. But they go, "Oh, he's something we can use," So then he gets brought in, and then they start using it. Another great one is Brotherhood of the Bell. Somebody works his whole life in the Brotherhood. He doesn't do much, but he gets called at one time to do a specific job, and orders must be followed. He doesn't have an option. He doesn't really want to do it because he's going to do harm to his mate or whatever, but that's the option. And he rebels against it and finds out. But that's how these guys work, They'll do something, all of a sudden they'll get a tap on the shoulder, do this.
Yeah. It's funny as well, though, because, well, it's not funny because they definitely groom certain people. One of my clients, she's unfortunately a satanic ritual abuse survivor, and I've been working with her for 3 years doing inner work and stuff. And basically, she was, if you ever met her, you could see why she was targeted. Like her intuition is like spot on. Like she'll know something about me before I know it. Like it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. And but she was going to be used to take up a very prominent position in Canadian politics, but she rebelled, and obviously she managed to not sell her soul.
She born in the family, like,
despite all the abuse and torture and all of the stuff that she had to go through.
She born in the family.
Yes, yes, she was born in the family, and a lot of these kids, they get murdered and stuff like that. But with her, they were going to use her. She was too good to be sacrificed, basically. But despite all their best efforts, and obviously I can't go into the details, but the horrific stuff that she suffered, she managed to maintain her. I don't know what you'd even call it. It's not even integrity, because it is integrity, but she managed to just
her spirit,
her spirit, refuse it, and but she was being groomed for a very high position, and they weren't happy that she got out of the cult. And it's crazy how they will target certain people and groom them for roles in society. And she said to me as well, like, some of the people that she's like, later on the memories come back, the subconscious, it honeycombs, it fragments, so you forget. But during this process, we've done some work, done all this work, and certain memories have come back, and she's had memories about certain abusers. And she said, you would never, ever, if you met this man, you would never believe that he did the things that he did. He was the quietest, he was a lawyer. And this is how they get away with it. They fly under the radar. They do all these kind of like moral jobs, like police, lawyers, like this high status jobs, and they just fly under the radar, and that's how they're able to infiltrate so well. And you wouldn't know it. We probably fucking walk past God knows how many Satanists a day,
Oh, it's scary to think about it. If you actually thought about it, it's much more prevalent than we like to think about,
Yeah.
I've had personal experience with that kind of shit, and it was under my nose, let's put it that way, and I knew something was up, but eventually it was found out,
right?
And it's no good, and just it's a sickness in society. It's part of it, sex and all the pornography and stuff that's prevalent these days is creating a world of just sex for the sake of it and all that kind of stuff, and just the physicality, and that then more revealing clothes, and then younger and younger, whatever. It's all deemed towards paedophilia eventually or whatever.
Yeah. MAPs, minor attracted persons, that they're trying to get accepted into society. Yeah, it's great. I mean, the level of absolute evil that we're dealing with.
The organisation that goes behind this child trafficking, and these guys, like, I watched the documentary, what was it, Evil Has Eyes or something? Eyes of the Devil. It's on YouTube. You should watch it. It's pretty mental. There's got this actual guy who's trafficking children, and this talks about the operation. It's like £500,000 for them to fly in this baby is going to get fucked to death in this villa, you know, and the guy can go in there in his room and do whatever he wants, and then he go and clean up the operation and gets away again. And these are like really severely wealthy people who've always got more money than a horse could shit, so they need these thrills apparently to fucking give them some kick out of life because they can get anything they want, you know. So.
Unbelievable, the level of evil. Yeah, the worst one, talking of infiltrators, was John of God. I mean, this guy was healing people in Brazil. He was healing people with terminal cancers and stuff like that. He was working with a false white light energy entities. So they were getting the kickback and obviously building trust and faith. And this guy was, you know, seen as like a saint or something. He was a child trafficker. Yeah, so they always have to give you the sugar on the front end.
Jimmy Savile, the charity.
Exactly, but on the back end, they're a whole different kettle of fish.
It's crazy how their minds work, isn't it? These fucking psychopath criminal.
But this goes for what people deem as like angels and things like that. This is what I talk about a lot in my channel. You know, a lot of people in the new age, they're working with archangels and all this. Again, they're getting the front end kickback, but then there's a crash, and then they're going to be hooked in, siphoning their energy. So it's that expression that's coming through the fourth dimension into our dimension. That's what I mean when going to the root cause of it. And they're master manipulators, master deceivers, and very, very clever, very conniving at what they do. You blink and you've missed them.
You see, when you were saying that lady there was dead intuitive and she could read your mind before you knew it.
Yeah.
Well, you phone up a psychic. How do you know it's a lady who's got kind of good intentions and more pure, or somebody that thinks they're pure, but maybe, or even they start off pure and then some other thing is infiltrated in the, you know. So you start off doing the fortune telling, you're giving good advice, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I don't know, you're just giving bad advice, whatever.
Well,
that's the truth in it. What I'm saying, the psychic and fortune telling and reading.
Yeah.
Is there people doing tarot cards? Do you believe in that as a thing? And again, is there a dark and negative side to that?
Yes, there is a dark and negative side to that. So, I mean, I think first of all, just to address the psychic abilities, we all have psychic abilities, all of us. It's just that A, we're not taught about it from school, and B, when you grow up, it's kind of seen as taboo and like a little bit woo-woo and yada yada, and so you know we kind of get turned off from it. But you know, clair visual, clair audio abilities, kinesthetic. I never say that. These are all abilities in high intuition. These are all abilities that we all have. It's just for most of us, they've just laid dormant because we're not taught about them. And they're just like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. Like remote viewing. I mean, anyone can remote view. It's just practicing. And it's like if you just use your right arm and you don't use your left arm, then your right arm's going to get strong and your left arm's going to get weak. Same thing applies. Same thing with willpower, things like that. If people with no willpower, they've never probably done anything like a fast or anything like that to strengthen that muscle of being able to refuse something or turn. So all these things, they're all within all of us. It's just we're just not fully aware of ourselves and our capabilities and everything like that. So, but I do think that there are people that are born that are more in touch with those abilities. People that I've worked with down the years, targeted individuals. Oftentimes, when I'll meet with them, they're very highly intuitive, or they've got psychic abilities where they'll see entities and stuff like that very easily. And obviously, their main goal is the best way to get away with what they do is to hide themselves. So for many years, we talking of entities and stuff like that, we've not had these discussions as a general population. So they've managed to manipulate from the shadows, from the darkness. But now people are starting to talking about it more and more, so they're not able to go under the cover there. And that's now starting to filter out into the third dimension now, where they're also being exposed. So they're being exposed on all levels. So yeah, I do believe in those things, but I don't believe that it's down to one special woman sitting in a caravan with her tarot cards. And I believe that you can do it. I believe that my mum could do it. I believe that anyone could do it. It's just learning and practicing and spending time to. That's why they're constantly trying to entertain us and got all these things outside, like cinema, football, films, like all these distractions. If we really just spent a lot of time working on our abilities, our inner world, and things like remote viewing and things like that, the subconscious is absolutely immense. What's within us. We're never really alone at all. We've got all these parts within us that are working in our favor, trying to help us, and aspects of self. And you can do all sorts of things in that dimension. So yeah, I do believe in those things. Like, just to go to the other part of your question, there, things like tarot and dowsing with pendulums and things like that, they can be manipulated by entities. So if the person is, how do you know if someone's genuine? You feel their energy. That's what I do. That's what I would do. I feel into them. I feel, okay, how does their information feel? Not does it make me feel good, but does it resonate on a truth level? And how does their general energy come across? And I think again, that's something that when you practice a lot, you'll get to the point where if you meet someone new, you'll read their energy before they even open their mouth. And it's like, we all get it. Something just seemed off. Like, you hear that a lot. Something seemed off. Like when we're talking about the Queen's energy, something's off, right? So you're looking for that something's off in a person. And just go with that. If something feels off, then I just tend to gravitate away from it. So
the amount of times that's happened and you don't, and then you find out you should have.
Mate, if I had a dinner for every time I'd done that. Yeah. So I think we've just been told, and down the generations, that we're no good. We're destroying the planet. That we're just.
That's another one I'm sick of hearing about these days. This environment, when they're playing hard, and you can't talk sense when people start talking about the environment. Everyone thinks they've got a personal responsibility now for their carbon footprint, and everyone's just so important. And
it gives people another chance to virtue signal, don't they, with their 10p bags?
Oh, that's what they've done. The banned one-use plastic,
right, in
the UK or something now. So be paper. Like you get a can of four cans of beer or whatever. You used to get the plastic. We get these paper ones now, and you pull it out and fucking the thing rips straight away. They don't do the job they're supposed to do.
But it makes you laugh, because while that's all going on, they're dropping depleted uranium in the world's oceans. Do you know what I mean? And plutonium.
They're spraying chemtrails like fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it's absolute BS. Yeah, that's another thing that here in Mexico. There's been a lot of jungle fires, and there's a lot of jungle around this area. And they've never had them like before. Like, they might have the odd one, but there's whole swathes of jungle on fire. And they're saying that it's climate change here. They're saying it's the climate. So the same bullshit's being rolled out here in Mexico.
But again, climate change, maybe, again, I mentioned it in the previous one about Nibiru coming back. That can be, maybe that's potentially starting to heat things up, and that's their cover story. When things start to get hotter, that's them saying, that's climate change, but it's basically they're getting ready to run down the tunnels at that point.
Yeah, well, my friend, he wrote a book about the BS that's climate change, and he says that we're actually going into another ice age, the grand solar minimum. So he's saying, and he's got all the data there, that it's actually getting cooler. It's not getting warmer.
Right. This Ice Age Farmer was similar kind of thing.
Yeah, and because we know they invert everything, right? So if it's getting cooler, they're going to tell us it's getting hot, like warmer.
Right.
And they've been saying that since me and you were like little kids, right, running around. We're supposed to be dead by now because there should be a hole in the ozone layer. And
The ozone, aye.
Yeah.
But you look back at the scams getting played, you know, we think we're in the middle of scams now, but maybe 30 years from now, we'll look back in this and say, I remember the good old COVID days.
Yeah. Oh my God. I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of us that are going to write some very funny autobiographies in a few years' time, you know, with all of this that's happened. Or someone needs to write a book about these times, but I haven't got the energy to do it myself.
Basically, I would like to have the time to do more writing about all this shit show.
Yeah.
I like to talk. I'm going to write the story of my tribunal and the work situation and various other things. I need to get it down on paper actually, because I'm waiting until the court finishes and then I can start to make jokes from it. Hopefully, if I win it, but it's just been an absolute. Again, as you say, you're going along, everyone locking down. That's one thing. That's really, really bad. But just the way people then forcing a mask on and walking one way around Tesco and making other people wear a mask and coming up to you in the street, where's your mask? And on airlines, you know, you wear a mask but take it down to fucking eat your nuts and then put it back on again, you can.
I'll tell you what, I say this all the time, that although it's been very traumatic the last couple of years and we're not out of it by any stretch, it's been some of the most biggest belly laughs I've ever had in my life. Some of the shit that I've seen down the years, and no doubt you've seen, like,
oh, you can't believe it.
You just can't believe it. I mean, even like a couple of weeks ago. Oh yeah, that was it. I was just walking down Fifth Avenue here, and you get the joggers in the morning. This was like after the government said you don't have to wear masks. There was a guy running along with a gas mask on.
Oh God,
a gas mask. And now when people wear masks, I literally look at them and I'm like sneering as they walk past.
I was like that all the time, but
I'm making them like singling them out like they singled us out. But
you know, there's a show I posted on my Facebook wall, but people can check it out on Rumble, I think, by comedian Alistair Williams. He's getting a bit of publicity. It's kind of a meme now because he's talking about masks on stage. He still believes in the virus, but he was talking. He said, "No, if the mask is that big and the virus is that, it's going to go through it." You know, which is a fair point, but the virus has never been established. But he made a point though. Those that are still wearing the masks now, he's like, "Oh, aye, now you're rebels." You know, the government tells them not to wear a mask, and then they're going, "No, Viva la revolution! I'll do what I want. I will keep wearing my mask." You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, some of these people need to go. They're probably taking their fourth booster, right?
Yeah. Well, my son it's just disgusting. It's around here. He got a letter from the NHS for his vaccine. See when you get that through the door, you know, you've not had your sufficient quota of, we're giving them out to 12 to 17-year-olds. Here's your fucking appointment, you know, addressed to him. So if I wasn't around, you know, he could get that, whatever, and be on his merry way. But I'm like, fucking, obviously he can't let you take it, but it's just disgusting. It's pure evil coming through your door, you know.
How old's your son?
17.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, I mean they are. They're pure evil, and they've got nothing. They've got no qualms about killing off children. And yeah, just evil. You might need a COVID test for that, mate.
I know that's what you get. I'm having a bit of a detox.
You'll be in the paper. You'll be in the paper as one of the conspiracy theorists that died of COVID.
Aye. Who was the one we had today? Oh, aye, the reason Prince Andrew is not on the balcony, by the way, it's not because he would bring shame to the royal family. It's because he's got COVID.
Someone posted on Twitter is brilliant. Hang on, what was the actual line? So Prince Andrew has just tested positive for COVID. Let's hope he can just sweat it out.
And this is this letter that my son got, right? And basically, NHS Scotland is offering. Well, they're just offering, okay? They're not even trying to ram it down your throat. 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine to children 12 to 7. And then, 16 to 17s are eligible for a booster if they're not deed yet.
Oh, how kind of them.
Having the first dose should give you good protection. having the second dose and any additional doses you are eligible for should give longer lasting protection.
They're very careful with their language,
The
aren't
first
they?
one should have just got protection, but then longer lasting protection. What's the fucking time scale in the first gen? You know what I mean?
It's like Durex extra strong. You might not get someone pregnant.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Lots of women these days are having, well, period issues. I think there's a lot of women suffering with period pains and stuff. I don't know if that's just maybe more so since the vaccine, but certainly the foods and stuff we eat. Well, what do you think's causing that? Because I know it's
Well, I definitely since the vaccine came out, and I've spoken to friends that are women that they've had, that some of them have had real bad issues. What it is exactly, I'm not sure. You know, but it seems very coincidental.
You just wonder about births, you know, if this sterilisation is obviously part of the agenda as well. Like hands made tail stuff 20 years down the road, you know.
Yeah, I spoke to my my Spanish teacher this morning. Her 33-year-old friend just killed over with a stroke. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah,
definitely, it's happening everywhere. There's a guy posted a clip talking to Nicola Sturgeon, a Scottish guy who took the vaccine and now, you know, he's in a world of pain, basically, you can. And just for that to happen to one person is enough for him to say, all right, enough. But it's happening much more than we're getting led to believe. It's having.
They all think that they've got long COVID now.
Oh God, this is another one. And then they're saying, "Oh, but maybe long COVID isn't a thing." They keep on chucking these different things out there to keep us all in that state of unknown and unsure, you know, and able to confirm reality.
What do you think about this monkey flu? Is just literally the symptoms of the vaccines?
Aye, no doubt about it.
Yeah, got to be in it.
Yeah. The body, the illnesses are to do with toxicity. If they've just had 2 or 3 vaccines pumped into them, some people are going to manifest it differently to others.
Yeah.
So the ones that are manifesting it that way, we'll just label that monkeypox. Even smallpox, again, these things are not individual diseases. No. They're just symptoms. They get labelled as that. So polio has just been relabeled to something else, you know. And basically, people, if they detox properly and didn't have poisons around them, we wouldn't get ill. Yeah. It's just the world is a toxic place. Since the free energy Tartarian Empire collapsed and the oils come in here, and, you know, again, the way they talk about this electrical energy being the future, you know, we need to cut emissions. We could have free energy all around, folks, if we want it, you know.
Sorry, I hurt my leg playing football yesterday, and I just moved in the wrong place.
What did you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all bullshit, isn't it?
I walked into a car tow bar the other day, got a big, huge bruise on my shin, which was no good. Kind of one of those ones that hurt for like 10 minutes after.
Yeah, well, I went in for a tackle, and my legs went over the top of my head. I've been laying down for 2 days because I can hardly walk on it.
Oh, yeah. Still, last game of football, I had my Achilles tendon. I felt it kind of stretch.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk for a couple of months after properly, so I thought I better hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Although I've got an interview tomorrow. The only one that's given me an interview, over 100 job applications. I had another one actually for motorhome that I never got. Motorhome preparing, but football coach for youngsters for 4 hours a week. I'm going to do that.
That'd be pretty good.
Better than in a factory.
Yeah.
Kick a ball and get paid for it.
So if anyone's watching this in the UK on my channel, if they've got any jobs that Billy can do, maybe he can come and.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've just posted on my Facebook wall and on my video agency page. I've got a video portal. So if anyone's making any kinds of videos, I can give you 24 access for a tenner, and you can go in there and make as many videos as you want. There's over 2,000 templates, and you can go in and, you know, make 20 videos for 10 quid, or you can make them for your friend's business or anyone else, and that would help support me, and it would give you something out of it. So basically,
or you can go to, what is it, Billy Watson TV, and do a monthly donation. It's important we keep Billy off the streets for obvious reasons, because we need him. We need him on team, fighting the good fight. So if anyone has got a couple of pound, expensive cup of coffee a month, let's try and help him out if we can. Be really appreciated.
Yeah, it certainly would, because honestly, I've not got money to pay my rent anymore, or far less go to the supermarket, so it's a little bit disconcerting.
We don't want to see you in a strip club or anything like that. That would be
doing the docks, getting my arse reamed.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a poem about that in my book that's coming out. When basically I do this poem, it's called Burst Pipes. I went away on holiday, so I came back and there was a big hole in my ceiling because I never done what my mum told me to isolate my taps, you know. So anyway, I claimed the insurance, but I made a poem out of it, and I claimed in the poem that I'd lost the insurance form, so my wife went mental, so I had to go down the docks to get my arse reamed to pay for it. At least she never found out that I wiped my arse with the insurance form in an emergency.
Yeah.
Top quality, high level art. My next book, check it out.
Oh, great.
Anyway, I'm away to cough some more. Thanks very much for tolerating us, Tony. Where would you like people to find you?
You can go to my website, transcendingtimes.org, or most of my content is on YouTube. Just my name, Tony Sayers. I'm on BitChute, Odyssey, all that jazz. But yeah, my YouTube and the website is the main ones.
Okay, if folk are looking to buy my book, you can go to billywatson.tv and there's a link there as well. I've got my first book, which was around here earlier, but yeah, I've released it in the first time as paperback, and then I'm bringing out 4 new books, one in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Maybe you can do an interview on my channel when that happens.
Okay, that would be great.
Great.
Thanks very much then.
All right, take care.